Where'd you go? We just go. See, this is the problem with going live. Then you disappear on me. First live streams are not without their technical difficulties.
Are we on?
Yeah, we're on now.
Fuck yeah. What up? What up, live stream? Is anybody watching?
I'm not sure. I don't see any comments or reactions or anything yet, but
Homie, what set you from?
the good.
Yeah, looks like nobody's watching.
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody's doing a live stream on the last, well, on the debate, so they probably won't look at us.
You're on
Yeah.
the last.
Hey, you
on the
got us.
debate,
We're on live,
You
right?
look good though.
Yeah, I told you this shit's gonna look. This shit's gonna look all right. I can't use the green screen shit with Skype though. I got it because we're using the streaming shit. So I'm gonna end up having to buy an actual curtain or some shit to use the green screen. But
I wouldn't worry about it.
yeah, but the
So what do you
good
think?
thing,
You think
man,
think we're not a failed state? You think
man,
no?
that. I mean, okay, a lot of people just said that they were annoyed by it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was a good time, alcohol required. You know, I had my beers out while I was trying to go and fix a live screen for us to do the show. But, I mean, it was pretty much what I expected. And just leading up to it and everything, I mean, a lot of the points they were trying to make, I was expecting those points. So,
Yeah, it was. You know, like Trump obviously didn't prepare at all. You know,
he never prepares.
Shit he always says.
Yeah, I mean, he never prepares, so it's not really unexpected.
No, I mean, I'll say this, he didn't do as good as he could have. Biden was terrible, pretty much in every sense of the word. He didn't have any. Yeah, I mean, he didn't have any good.
I don't think they shot him up with enough addies because I thought he'd be more on point.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was spooked that he was going to get drug tested, so he didn't take him.
I mean, he didn't even agree to
it.
it.
Easy on the chrome.
He didn't even agree to it. Oh wait, we got a viewer. Here you go. Hi viewer.
I think it's Tom.
It's probably Tom. Well, it's cool. At least we have somebody watching us. And anyway, we can edit this together with the outro, and then it all works out together to have another show. So I'll take it. But yeah, I mean, going into this, I think Trump was the favorite to go and do better in these debates, though. Anyway, he's behind in the polls, and he really needed the kick up from the debate to go and make it contentious again, right? And in that respect, I mean, he tried to hit Biden with a few things, and it was weird because they were trying to. It seemed like at points they were trying to outflank each other on both ends of the spectrum, just on a given topic.
Yeah, they were all over the place.
They really were.
That's it's there's no. They don't have. Neither of them have an ideology. They have a collection of talking points that they deploy. Yeah. So there was no coherence. There was no sort of. Biden's consistent theme was just you're incompetent, right? There was no sort of policy-based rationale for why he's incompetent, things he's done that have led to bad outcomes.
And and just on his delivery too, there was a couple of times where he lost it, and it was noticeable.
Yeah, it's just I couldn't help thinking the whole time how. Just why was he the candidate? Why were they so insistent on him? Anybody else? You didn't want Bernie, fine. Why not Mayor P? Why not Amy? Why not somebody who can fucking talk? Because it's obvious. In 2016, Biden convinced or Obama convinced Biden to not run, right?
Right.
Like that was the whole thing, was to get Hillary, and he could have done it this time, and he again led the consolidation on Bloody Monday. Like he could have done all of this shit for a different candidate. Why were they so insistent on putting up the guy who can't
I
talk?
mean,
Like
did they really think
the
that,
fact that he
was it a matter
decided to
of
not run in
him?
2016 is like,
I mean, really, was it a
it's like
matter of?
they're aware that he's got cognitive problems.
Uh huh. I mean, they have to be, but I'm saying, like, was it really a matter of him? Just like people actually thinking, or someone who's making these decisions to really think that he's just a more electable candidate than any of these other dudes. You know, because even if they don't,
I
because
think name
obviously they don't want
recognition.
Bernie. Obviously they didn't want Bernie at all, right?
Yeah.
But
Like name recognition, I think these consultants, they're set in their ways. They have like, a half dozen strategies that they want to deploy all the time, over and over again. And it's like one of them is, name recognition is good. Like Uncle Joe, he's got a high approval rating or whatever. And they don't take into account the material facts on the ground that whatever kind of approval rating he has is because people are unaware of how far gone he is. Like he's not competent. Like I wouldn't trust him to babysit my kids, let alone, or back my car out of the garage, let alone govern the country. And like they do that with this. They've been for 4 years now. It's been, oh, Trump is an existential threat. Like he's the worst president ever. He's going to destroy the country. And then they put the guy who's fucking senile up there to go against them. It's just it's so sickening to me, and it's like oh man, like I don't even know. Like my frustrations are limitless. Like I did you see that thread I retweeted, that Frank Lunch thread about the undecided voters?
no, I didn't. I'm telling you, I really didn't catch
What?
anything because I was trying to go and mess with the stream so much to get it all working. You know, so I mean, my phone kept going off with because I have Kyle's Twitter account on alert. So
Well, look, like
like everything he was
you
saying,
should put this. You should put
was
this in the stream because um, it's that guy. He's the pollster. He's like a debate expert or whatever,
uh-huh.
and he watches the debates with undecided voters and talks about them. And like listening to these undecided voters, they all sound like leftists, right? Because if you're not
Well,
if you're not like wedded to the party, if you're not like an ideologue, a normal person watching those two
all right, you're saying it's this
incompetent
Frank Lunch, right?
jackasses, yeah, like
That's the one you're sent me.
yeah.
All right, let me see if I can pull it up here. This is an experiment in many respects, everybody. So please be kind. All right, it worked. There we go. Just slide over things a little
So
bit.
it's mostly them at first saying how disgusted they are with all the interruptions and all. Because like
I mean,
Trump had to do something to win over undecideds, right? Like the people who have paid attention at all know he's a jackass. He had to do stuff that is going to make him appear not so unhinged, not so incompetent.
mm-hmm.
And I don't think he did that. Like I don't think this is going to move the needle at all, except maybe depress turnout. And like at one point he says it like, my undecided group finds this debate funny. I've not laughed this hard in months. This ugliness isn't working for either of them.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about. To start the stream and everything. I mean, I thought it was funny. I broke out laughing a bunch of times, and the part I gotta say, the part I gotta say that really had me cracking up was when they brought up when Biden's on the schmeal about. My son was decorated in the military and all this other, and you're talking about Hunter. yeah, that part got me. But I mean, I know some people probably might have thought it was a low blow. You get probably ask, those analysts and everything. They're probably gonna go on that whole, pompous whatever
That's the thing,
decorum
but like
bullshit.
this
But
thread, like it says it right here. Like none of these people want to hear about Trump's taxes or Biden's kids. Like nobody cares. Like they want to hear plans for jobs, recovery, the economy, the climate. That's the stuff that undecided voters want to hear about, and they're not getting it from either of them.
well,
It's just so
we got a
pathetic,
we
man.
got a
Even
comment to
though, like,
reply to, bro. So he's asking, was anyone? Do you think was anyone undecided before tonight? Do you think there's many undecided voters
I
left?
mean, look at this Frank Luntz thread.
Mm.
I mean, he's watching it with a focus group of
Okay.
undecided voters, and it gets to the point. This debate's not just hurting my ears and both candidates. It's hurting America. This debate actually convinced some undecided voters to not vote at all. I've never seen a debate cause this reaction.
All right, so let
Like,
me see this thing. All right, so all right,
Trump
yeah.
is defending himself, and he should be defending America. Biden is at his best when he's
This is
visionary, but instead
oh,
of
this was
fighting
fun.
Trump, they
My
both made better
undecided
debate prep.
focus group does not like Trump's tone. Oh no, not the tone. Says
Yeah, if you're undecided at this point, you haven't been paying attention at all.
this
Right?
is stupid. This one's stupid. Biden should not have told Trump to shut up. Are you kidding me? That was one of his best moments.
I mean, he shouldn't have done it though.
Why?
Like, because that's not what he's running on. He's running on decorum.
Oh,
right?
gee.
I mean, I think he should have just been consistent, right? Because it's like now it looks like he's
Come on, how
not
many times
the
have
guy
people
he
not
claims to
what
be.
people? How many times would people just out there in general like to tell Trump to shut his damn mouth?
I mean, yeah, that's what you or I would say to him, but like he's running this campaign about being like,
Uh,
the antidote to Trump, and he goes and does that. And now it's like
well,
he's,
I mean,
you know,
in some ways, telling Trump to shut up is an antidote. A little
my
bit.
undecided group couldn't care less about Trump's taxes. They feel the tax code in itself is what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's just
Well, like,
again, you keep coming back to the same ideas.
yeah,
It's like
we
the people
gotta.
who are in charge of our media and our politics and all have no idea. They don't know regular people. They're surrounded by a bunch of elite blue checks who have completely coddled. They don't have any kind of like experience with deprivation. They don't have any like they have everything taken care of for them. They're not in touch with working people and people who are drowning in debt, people who can't afford health care, people who can't afford to keep their kids home from school. It's like those are the problems people care about, and they're not getting any answers from either of these candidates. Just it's sickening. Like,
no, I mean it's true. I mean, but I guess for me, my expectations were low on them anyway, so I wasn't expecting them to go ahead and give me any kind of answers. Oh, by the way, we got a couple more comments. I thought evangelicals were into decorum and manners. But I mean, they're also voting for Trump, and I think it's kind of like a battered wife syndrome where they say, I think I can change him. That's kind of what I get from when I hear evangelicals talk about Trump. We're like, no, but he can be saved. He can be saved once he accepts Jesus into his heart.
I mean, I think that a lot of them, I mean, it's different, right? They're not I mean, more than other groups, they are like what's it called? A monolith, but they're still not that monolithic. Like a lot of them, I think, they just see him as like a vessel to execute their agenda, right? They want the court judges, they want that kind of stuff, and he's been pretty, at least messaging wise, he's delivered for them, right? Like he says the things they want him to say, and he does a lot of the things they want him to do, and if not, like he finds a scapegoat and they believe it. Like, that's the issue, is like, you're not going to move those people, which is why it's so fucking dumb. Biden's strategy is trying to court this like mythical, undecided, moderate Republican voter.
Well, that's
It
the
just,
playbook, though. I mean, that's the long-standing playbook. It
well,
goes back to the
it's,
'80s
I
where they're
know, but it's
trying to get the
especially dumb
mythical.
in this. Yeah, but it's especially dumb
It's always
this
been
election
dumb, you
because,
know. It's
well,
looking back, it's
especially
always been
now
dumb.
because, but think about it. Uh, this time it's especially dumb because we're loyal to Trump are not people that are like, if you stand by and watch this guy just like
Hmm.
fuck up everything he's done and just clearly just corrupt as the day is long,
So
people who are still with him are not going anywhere. It's dumb to try to like pick some voters off of that. It's just, they would rather do that than try to, get any of the half the country who didn't vote at all.
right, no, I
Just,
mean that.
they're not set up for that, and it's these
But it
consultants,
would,
right? Like,
but
that's who's
but it would
running the
actually
show.
take some policy concessions to the left in order for there to be that
It wouldn't
dynamic.
even it wouldn't even take policy concessions though. Like, it would just take like a messaging shift,
Hmm.
right? Like, you yeah, to the left, or he would need to do some policy concessions, but for these people that I'm talking about, he
Uh huh.
just needs to, feel their pain, right? He just needs to be like, focus more on like jobs and like things he can do to help recovery, instead of just trying to hammer home how incompetent Trump is. That didn't work for Hillary. It's a bad strategy. You're not going to get more voters, and you're certainly not going to get his voters to stay home.
Hmm.
Like, people are voting for Biden because they're against Trump, right? They're
Yeah,
not
I mean
like voting for his
that's
policies. There is no policies.
well, I
Stay
mean
home.
that's the end of
You know.
the draw really to Biden. If you look at the polling from it, it's everybody's trying to go and vote anti-Trump. If they're voting for Biden, it's an anti-Trump vote. It ranges from Orange Man bad, evil, he's Hitler, all the way to what do you call it? What do you call it? Harm reduction. So it's somewhere on that spectrum, but I don't know if you would say anywhere close to a majority would be, oh, I'm voting for Biden because he has the best policies, and he's
I mean, I think,
I mean, and I wonder how
like,
much people really buy into the platitudes. Like, do you think they really buy into like the restoring the soul of the nation kind of stuff?
no, I don't think anybody cares about that. I think they're strictly voting for him because they hate Trump, right? They know, they can tell Trump's incompetent. It doesn't take more than like a few minutes of watching him
Mm.
to understand that he's not good at this, right? So they're just voting to get rid of him. But
Right.
like, you could, if you talked about substantive issues, you could bring in more voters, right? Like, Trump's strategy is to get, suppress the vote, like get Democratic voters to stay home, right? Like, that's all he's trying to do, and he is succeeded. Like, in that context, he definitely won tonight,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because all Biden did was just distance himself from policies that people like, right? Like, he just would shit on all the different things Trump would accuse him of. He would basically play right into his hands.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't activate new voters. He didn't bring in undecideds. And if anything, it's just going to convince more people who would have voted for him to stay home, right? Like, I think it was an overwhelming failure for Biden tonight. Like, and he, you know, like we said earlier, he needed to up his adrenochrome dosage, right? Like, he
Yeah.
was not on enough sauce.
Well, no, I agree, and like, so you're thinking like me. At the end, you think Trump came off better?
Yeah, I think Trump definitely won. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
that's where I
I
came
don't,
down to.
like I said, his voters are locked. They're not going anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
right? So those guys are always going to be with him. You're not going to be able to suppress them. You're not going to be able to, like the shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue thing. That's not going to change.
Right.
Like, Biden has to keep his base. Like, it's like we just said. It's like, it's dumb though. It's like Hillary, with the 80,000 people in Milwaukee staying home, right? They, like, that's voter suppression. Those are people who didn't want to bother coming out to vote for Hillary, right? The same people who haven't seen anything from Biden to change that, right? So he definitely succeeded in doing that. And Trump has his voters. He has them strategically placed around the country, right? Like he has it set up just like he did last time. And I don't think he's lost too many of them. So I don't know, man. I think it was a bad look for Biden, and I don't know what he can do to change it, except, like I said, I don't even think he has to do the concessions. I just think he has to change his messaging,
So you
which
think
is
it's
so
enough to
bizarre
play
because
populist
who's
again?
telling him? Not even populist, just competent Democrat, like like uh, like just I was watching clips earlier from like the 2008 and 2012 debate, and if he had those kind of messaging, like if he hit those points, just you know, inequality and um, the economic recovery, just like the substantive issues he was talking about, which we saw they didn't do anything, right? It was more of the same, corporatism
Mm-hmm.
and you know, like militarism and all the terrible stuff, but that was enough to stand out above Romney and Paul Ryan, who were running on a strictly like austerity campaign, which is tough for them because it's like they still don't know how to run against Trump, right? Like because Trump's not running the traditional Republican, like another Republican would have given, like Romney went up there and had his plans were explicitly class war, kind of like they were explicitly like austerity based plans, and it was easy for them to say that that was bad. But like with Trump, it's like he's just running as basically the opposite of you, so they have no really good comebacks for him, right? Like
Right.
there's nothing they can say, right? What are they gonna like? He will not commit to any policy. He won't commit to any kind of plans. Like, what did Biden mention? A single plan he has? Like
I mean,
he talked about how he
look,
wasn't for
anything
the
that they
Green
were
New Deal.
speaking about had to be incoherent. They were just trying to trade
Yeah,
barbs back and forth, if anything. Like
yeah.
I
Well,
don't I couldn't really tell. Like and it,
like
so
he
that's
could have
really what
said,
it.
"No, I'm not for the Green New Deal. I'm
Well,
for the Biden New Deal.
well,
This is
that's
what the
what he
Biden New
did.
Deal
He
entails.
did
It
at one
entails
point. He
solar
did.
panels. It entails,
He did at
yeah,
one
he didn't
point
go into
though.
any detail about it. Yeah,
No,
he
he
said I'm
he
for the
didn't.
Biden deal or whatever,
Yeah, he said
but he
he
didn't talk
supports
about
the
what that
Green
entails.
Biden deal. I don't know what he would. I don't know, but it
But he could have been
was.
like, I'm going to create this many jobs in this sector. We're not going to open any coal plants because instead of that, we're going to open up windmills. We're going to open up geothermal. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. That's what people want to hear because they don't know what you're about, right? Like, there's nothing that you're offering,
Mhm.
either substantive or, uh, like ideas. Why? He's not even giving any proposals. He's not even
Right.
saying what he would do. He's not even saying what he would do for COVID. Like he's not saying $600 check every month. He's not saying masks, a universal mask. He's not committing to anything. So nobody knows what the hell he's about. They just know he's not Trump, right? Like, and basically he's running as the same thing Trump does, but with less mean tweets. That's basically his platform. It's like status quo, like more civility, like which is just I don't know who thought that was going to be an effective strategy, especially under any kind of scrutiny at all. But it's really not, and it's really starting to show, right? Like
Yeah. No. I
he
mean,
could have held his own against Trump tonight if he had just had something to hold his own for, like had something to put and say something concrete, right? Like people don't understand, like Tom saying like Trump being a narcissist, lunatic, fascist. Like if you don't already understand that, right, like you're not going to understand it. Like the people who don't understand that so far, it's because they don't see the world that way or they don't really care or whatever. They are saying, what is your plan? Like what are you going to do differently? Like that Frank Luntz thread, that's what they said. That Biden's best when he's visionary, when he talks about things he wants to accomplish. That's what people want to hear, right? Like they know Trump's a failure or they don't know anything at all, but they want to hear what you're going to do differently. And I don't think he did that at all.
No, and I
I
don't think
mean,
Trump really gave him a chance to do any of that either, because every time he tried to talk about anything, he just talked over him.
but like
But
if
I
he
don't think
just
he did
spit
that in.
bullshit,
But I
say
don't
nothing
think
like
it
Biden was
mattered.
doing.
I don't think
But
Trump
like I'm
talking over him
saying,
like that mattered. I think it served him well because it makes Biden look like a punk.
yeah, no. I mean, I don't know. Some people might have thought he looked like the suburban women. I heard somebody say that, right? That's that's an interesting point. Like that might have turned off some
Yo, do you have your light on you?
Republican women in the
You're like
suburbs.
an anonymous,
Whatever. Yeah,
anonymous
well,
DJ Tom Hanks. There you go. There you go. Now I can see you again.
I mean that might have moved the needle a little bit, right? Like he might have convinced some of them to stay home because he's such a dickhead. But like I said, I don't know how you've been around these last 4 years not noticed that he's a dickhead, right? Like that obviously there's nothing he did tonight that was above and beyond his normal tenor, right? Like he was himself tonight, right? He's always been like that. So
Well,
like if
they
you
were
haven't
both
been turned off
themselves. I
by
don't
that
think
so far, I
anybody
don't
was
think you
expecting
will.
anything different from either of them.
Yeah, but like Trump when he's himself, he has things that he is like he stands for something, right? Like it's a terrible thing, but he stands for something, right? Like Biden was just it, the whole time. Like I don't think he said anything substantive the entire time. Like I don't think
Oh,
that's a terrible way to run a
oh.
campaign. And
Yeah.
like I don't know, man. Like we have a terrible, irresponsible media who's done nothing to like
Well, okay. What do
they
you? So,
you
I
can't
mean,
just repeat the same buzzwords about fascism and narcissism without having a sort of replace it with something better, right? Put
mhm.
something there, anything, just
Well, look, let me ask you
just
then. What
typical.
I
Like I don't
mean,
even need you to be a leftist. Just be a Democrat. That's the fucking problem. It's like he's not even being a Democrat, right? Like
mm.
he's running his campaign as if he's John McCain. That's literally what he's trying to do.
Well, I
He's
mean
trying to be John
that's how
McCain.
far right. I mean, I think the party has moved. But look, what I was going to ask about is, all right. So as far as the debate moderator, this one was the first one I got to see with from this cycle that was moderated with the Fox News host. I mean, do you think that
Yeah.
they're any better or worse than the previous ones that we've seen in the primary for the Democrats?
I mean, yeah, I think he was. I think he was worse. I think he was more biased.
Mm.
Like the Democratic debaters were biased towards the center, right?
Right.
So yeah, or whatever the centrists, like the libs, however far right they are, but like they were not like
What?
Chris Wallace was able to fit in some of the Fox News narrative into his questioning.
Mm-hmm.
Like he basically said, agreed with Trump that the economy was doing great,
Yeah.
which I couldn't believe he did that, right? Like
But
you're
but
basically
he
talking
did
about
get
the
into
stock
a lot
market.
of
That's all that you're talking
arguments with him
We had a
too, and
million new unemployment cases last week. Like we have a million new unemployment claims every week, pretty much consistently since March. Like
right.
that's not a healthy economy, right? Like you can't say the economy's doing great because your 401k is doing all right
No,
when
I
there's
mean
that many people out.
nobody can, but I mean, as far as how Chris Wallace was moderating Trump, I mean, he did shut him down a bunch of times. There were a bunch of shouting matches back and
Yeah,
forth
but
between
it
the
doesn't
two of
really
them.
matter though. I know. But like I said, that kind of stuff is not what the people are looking for. They're looking for policy. Like everybody is. It's not just the left who wants to hear policies. It's the middle. It's everyone. It's undecided voters, working class voters, middle class voters. That's what people want to hear. They want to hear your policies. They know what kind of guy you are or what kind of guy you're running
So,
as, and they know what kind of guy Trump is. They don't care about the decorum. They don't care about the gossip. They don't care about Hunter Biden. They don't care about Trump's taxes. They don't care that he called the troops losers. Nobody cares about that except the people who are already committed to the culture war, one side or the other.
so you're
The
saying
libs
that the
care
people
about
that
it,
aren't
and the chuds
bought
care
into
about
the
it.
polarization will be gravitated more towards policy?
Definitely,
Yeah.
yes. And
I
like I said,
think
not even
that
necessarily
well,
specific policies,
no,
just
but
concepts, just
right.
ideas.
Well, I
Like
mean, for me, the way I
nothing.
look at it
There's
is the
nothing on
people
offer.
that are not decided by now are probably less informed voters. They're probably the ones that make up their minds at the last minute, listen to a few of the debates, and then go and decide on election day, right? I don't know
Yeah.
how much that contingent of voters has changed because of COVID, but I'm thinking that
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the same thing.
they turn into a debate to see who gets the better of the other. And in that respect, I think Trump came away again with that. You know, in that respect, I
Yeah.
think that he just ended up getting the better of
But
Biden. And
again,
a few of those times when you're seeing that,
I don't know how much. I don't know how much that changes undecided voters, though. Like, it'll convince you to stay home, like you were already planning on doing,
mm-hmm.
right? And it's not convincing anybody to come out and vote for him. Like, oh, fuck it. Like, I don't, they both look terrible. I don't care. Which is what the Frank Luntz group said, right? Like,
Right.
they don't care. If Biden wanted to win, he would just say a few things about just anything. Like, it doesn't even have to be left or progressive, just a different vision from Trump. Because
Well, that
he's
was a
not
lot of
offering that at all.
I mean, that was a lot of the debate was Trump trying to paint right in his face, trying to paint him as a leftist, which was funny.
That's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying. That
it
doesn't
made
matter
me
to most
laugh.
people, though. Most people don't even know what that means. You know,
Yeah.
like most people don't understand that unless you're terminally online. Have the politics brainworm. You don't even understand the difference between the left and the libs. They don't know what Trump means when he says that. Like, that's why they're extra curious for Biden's ideas, right? Like, it's yet another reason to differentiate yourself from the perspective, from the portrayal he's making of you by saying, I'm actually not for that. I'm for this because I think it'll be good for the country for X, Y, and Z. He just spent the whole time defending himself and distancing himself from popular policies that people like.
Mm.
Like, I
Well, I
just
mean,
can't
yeah,
even
that
get
what
over
was it, the
who told him to go into it with that. If
mm-hmm.
you're not for Medicare for all, if you're not for socialized healthcare and all,
Mm-hmm.
whatever Trump was trying to say, you have to say, actually, Mr. Trump, you're wrong about that because my plan includes this,
Well,
that,
that's
and
what he
that.
kept
And
saying,
I
right?
think it'll
That's
be
what he
great.
kept.
It'll help people who are out of work. Like,
Well, no,
all
but
this
that's
stuff
what he
that they've
kept
said.
doing to Biden is saying, okay, so you're not for the Green New Deal. Okay, well, I mean, that's going to make the
Exactly.
left of your
They
party
can't
mad.
even say. But he knows that, like, Biden knows the score. He knows the left is fucked. Like, he
Yeah.
knows we don't have an option. He knows that.
I mean,
I think Trump
I mean,
doesn't understand
is
that
it a
really. I think
ploy
he
to
kind of
kind of?
does.
I mean, was it like a ploy to play into the
No, it's a
wedge?
bad strategy. It's a bad strategy.
Well,
He's
I'm not
trying to
saying it was a
compete
good or a bad
for.
strategy, but I'm asking if that's
No,
what he was trying to do is play up that divide between the left of the country and the Democratic Party.
I think Trump is kind of trying a little bit to do that
Mm-hmm.
because he knows about the disaffected left. Like, he
Right.
understands that at least. But he doesn't understand that his whole campaign, like Joe Biden's a radical socialist, whatever, is such a just you couldn't be more of a turnoff to the left, right? Like, threatening to, like, sending out the Proud Boys,
Yeah. By
just
the
that kind
way,
of shit
yeah.
is such a
Here, let
turnoff to
me.
the left. It's like,
Well, let me
you
pull
know,
that up really fast because there we go. So this is what's
what did they expect him to say? Did they expect that he was going to reverse the last 4 years of his career and all of a sudden say white supremacy is bad? Of course, he wasn't going to say that.
yeah. I mean,
Like,
I don't know
Chris Wallace, if he
exactly.
wasn't a Fox News anchor, he would have said it. He would have asked the question in such a way where if he didn't distance himself, he sounds like a racist. So he, like, Maddow or someone like that would have said, like, oh, so are you're not willing to condemn the Proud Boys, so you're comfortable telling the American people that you're a white supremacist or whatever. Say it in such a way that him not answering it the way you want him to makes him admit to being a fascist, makes him admit to being a racist, right? That those were the softball questions from Wallace. Like, Wallace had a good point. Like, when he was talking about the critical race theory stuff,
Mm.
he was pretty strong on that. Like, that was decent, but still, like, he let him off the hook too easily. Like, he didn't have anything to stick a tone with. And I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what he could have done differently, but I think if they have a lib do the next one, I feel like they will.
I mean, do you think?
He
Yeah, I
basically
mean,
told
they
the
did Fox,
Cowboys,
so I
like,
think I
go to
figure
the
the next one's
polling.
going to be MSNBC, right?
Yeah, and he basically said, "I want my people to go to the polling places and intimidate voters." Was pretty much what
Yeah,
Trump
isn't
said,
that what
right?
he meant by that stand on by crap that he was saying about
Yeah,
the
stand
Proud
by.
Boys?
He basically
Yeah,
wants his armed. Yeah, he wants them to go show up at the polling places like they did in Virginia last week and threaten people. Basically, is what he's saying, right? Like he's going to get away with it too, though, because the the Democrats are powerless, and even if they wanted to, I don't know what they would do, but there's nothing that they've done so far to show that they're willing to at all use the levers of power, whatever access to power they have, to put a stop to that, right? Like, should there should be a proposal in the House tomorrow to have the National Guard at polling places or whatever, shit like that. Like, you need to threaten him with the power you have. Like, you need to do shit like that. You need to get on the message. You need to get out there and say, like, it's not enough to say, like, oh, Trump's trying to do a coup. You have to say, this is the thing that we think he's going to do. In order to combat that, we need to do this. That's nothing. They haven't done that yet. Like, they haven't done that at all. And I don't know if it's because they don't care or they're pathetic and they can't muster the wherewithal to do it, but there's been no indication that they're at all willing to use the power that they have, as limited as it may be, to do it. Like we're seeing with the Supreme Court pick, right? Like, they're not willing to do anything to put it, throw a spanner in the works. They're not willing to do anything to slow down and gum up the process. They're not willing to,
well, yeah, because
rearrange
they
the
don't want to
committee
go down
schedule.
to their level.
Well, it's called politics, though. It's like you have to use the
No, it's a
power that you
cheap
have.
out. It's a cheap out, and meanwhile, while they're not going down to their level, they're gonna get a third Supreme Court pick. But so, I got somebody that was pretty disappointed with this debate. Want to get your thoughts on this one? So, I literally have no idea who won this debate. I just know we all lost. That was from the intelligent Ben Shapiro, facts over emotions or whatever he says.
I mean, I think Ben Shapiro's been trying to pivot to not pure MAGA. Like, he's trying to have a career after Trump. Like, he wants to, like, he's trying to kind of walk the line between being a MAGA psycho and a never Trumper, right? Like, he's trying to show that he's a objective conservative. Like, he is trying to say that, like, facts over feelings, right? Like, he's trying to say, I'm not a hardcore loyalist. I'm just a conservative, and these are my things. Like, so he's trying to do this sort of like, I'm disappointed in Trump. Is this, the vibe he's trying to put out lately? I thought, because that's what that is. Like, that's, that's not, Trump's not going to like that, right? Like, if it's not 100% gung ho praise of Trump, he thinks it's bad. So that's going to disappoint him. And
no, I'm sure.
I mean, I don't know.
But I mean, look, if you're going to go, I mean, just for me, I don't really care one way or another at this point who's going to win. It's probably not as bad if Biden wins, but just looking at it, at the debate, and I was just listening to it in the middle of trying to work all this live stream stuff that I finally figured out how to do. And like I can say, Trump came away looking better than Biden. And Biden, at times, he looks weak. He looks feeble. He looks like he shouldn't even be up there. I don't think he
looked better. He looked like a psycho. Like, Trump didn't look good.
No, right? But I think he looked better than Biden.
I mean, it depends.
It's right? Like,
neither one of them.
Neither
one of them look qualified to be the president.
No, but one's already president, so you figure that gives him some kind of bonus. And like, I mean, either way, if one of them loses or the other one loses, I'll feel okay. I'll either watch libs cry or
Biden win. It's like I said, like, it's the same thing. Like if Trump is running his 2016
Mm-hmm.
campaign, I would be ambivalent, right? But he's not. Like he's running this basically, it, you know, it's fascism, right? Like disempowering people, like suppressing votes, saying that we need to throw away all these ballots, like all that shit. And then at the same time, that coupled with his insistence that the armed white militias are somehow okay and they're a sign of a healthy democracy, like that was basically his implication was like, it's the Proud Boys are okay, but people protesting me is bad. That's what, that's what dictators do, right? And it's becoming more and more like that. And like we talked about before, man, like I think there's a legitimate chance that if he wins again, he'll start rounding up leftists. I really
Oh,
do, right? Like,
but in like segregated camps, right, bro? We're not gonna be able to bunk up together or none of that shit. You
I
know,
mean,
he's gonna
I don't think
it's
he'll
gonna
do that
be
yet.
it's gonna be
Because again,
concentration camps with an era of segregation. You know, perfect for
like I said,
flavor.
I don't think they want to do like. I think they want to keep the cultural, like, the
I think
social
they care more
issues.
about the
I
culture
think they
war
want
as
to
a
keep
means to
that
be
the
able to
same.
divide everybody. I don't think they really actually give a shit
Yeah,
about the
they don't
culture
care
war.
about it policy wise. They don't want to move the needle one way or the other, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they don't. Like I said about Joseph Coney Barrett, like she doesn't. They're not going to undo Roe v. Wade. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
keep it just as it is, right? They'll make it harder. They'll restrict it, and just basically find ways for the state to have less public expense on healthcare. Like that's what she'll do,
You don't think
like
she'll
just
actually
like as she
overturn Roe v. Wade?
no,
They introduced
no. Why would they do that?
did you well? Do you know in
But then they
Texas?
lose their how many voters, like we just said earlier about the evangelicals, they're voting with that as the carrot, right? That's what their carrot has been for 30 years.
Uh huh.
Since the Reagan time, it's been,
So,
oh, we're going
so
to
you don't
undo
think
Roe v.
they'll ever
Wade.
actually give them the carrot if they have a chance to do that?
No,
Well, I mean,
hell no.
okay. So just for
No,
a
why would
point
you
of
do that?
reference, though, Texas, I just saw it not too long ago. I might need to go and look it up again. They passed something, or they introduced a bill that would give women who got an abortion the death penalty.
That passed both houses.
Not sure if it passed. I know at least it was introduced.
I saw it was proposed, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it'll pass because, again, like there's enough people like that strategically placed around the country so Trump can win the electoral college.
Right.
But like in a state like Texas, there's enough, moderate. I mean, in this case, moderate means like not theocratic, like whatever
Uh
you would
huh.
call that, like not a jihadist, right? Like it's basically what that is. It's like
That I mean,
a
I
far-right
don't know what you
jihad.
call somebody that would want to go and put a woman to death for getting an abortion.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's like
Christian
that.
jihadist.
Uh,
that's a new one. I haven't heard
yeah,
that one
that's what
come
it
before.
is. It's a jihad. Yeah, no, it is.
It's
Like I
jihad
don't know how else
on
you would describe it.
jihad
Yeah,
on
on
bodily autonomy
yeah on
and
kill people.
reproductive rights.
Yeah, like, but it's like they know they'll be able to get an abortion no matter what, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll be able to travel to Canada or whatever they have to do. They're fine, right? It's the undesirables who they're trying to keep, make it difficult for them so they can keep them in a cycle of poverty, right? Like that's their thing is protecting the status quo, not changing it. So like they don't want to move anything either. They want to keep everything as is because they're fucking running shit, right? Like they have control of every aspect of the country. They have every industry, every area of government, every state house. It's far right, fascists and their collaborators in the Democratic Party, right? That's basically what the situation is now. Is 95% of the Democrats are basically colluding with them to instill this dictatorship.
Right.
It's sad times, man. Like I said, we need some like UN sanctions or something, right? Like
So
we really need the rest of the international community to step up and start holding us to account because our leaders are unhinged on both sides of the aisle.
well, one of the
Or on the
other
same side of the
moments that I was
aisle.
actually pretty happy hearing from Biden was he I was wondering where he really came down on Antifa, right? And when
Mm.
Trump did his thing about, Antifa is this radical left group. We have to stop them, folks. They're the ones being violent. They're killing people out on the street, folks. Not like Kyle Rittenhouse, who is just defending himself from a skateboard.
Did
Well,
you
he was.
see? I saw some tweet earlier, real quick. Sorry, that was like it showed how the Methodist Church was raising. They raised
Yeah, he
half a
got
million dollars
500.
for Kyle
Yeah, it
Rittenhouse's
was
defense.
500K. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Church of Satan was running a drive for like a homeless food bank or something.
Yeah.
Like like they're not good people. They're the worst people in the country,
Yeah.
probably the world,
I
among the
mean,
worst in the world. They're in control of the country. It's sad, man. Like what,
well, in the
you
middle of
know?
that shtick, though, he was trying to pin Antifa violence and saying, well, Biden supports Antifa or whatever. He's in Antifa, which is just freaking ignorant. And then Biden actually said the right substantive answer, which is Antifa is not a group; it's an idea, it's a movement.
Yeah, I mean,
And
the right answer there was, of course, I'm Antifa. We fought the fascists in World War II. Like that was what he should have said, right? Like,
right, he should have
why
give
are
a
you
he
against
should
them,
have
Mr.
give
President?
right he should have give a stronger answer, but he at least said that part about Antifa not being a group; it's a movement, right? It's an idea, and I thought that was at least something decent coming from a corporate dem. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the other part of it is saying the only people that are against Antifa, which stands for anti-fascist, are fascists. So maybe there's
Yeah.
a reason why
Well,
you're
that's the
trying to
thing.
designate
He's
them
up
as a
there,
terror group.
and that's why he won't tell them to stand down. He won't tell the militias to stand down. He won't tell the white supremacists to to stay out of the way, right? Like he wouldn't say anything like that because like it couldn't be more overt, right? Like he's basically admitting it, like basically saying, "Yeah, I'm a fascist and these are my brown shirts." Like, I don't know how much more explicit people expect him to be. It's like people think that like when Hitler took over Germany, he said like, we are going to, subjugate the Jew and, like he might have said that, but like, he didn't. That's what fascists do is they use flowery symbolic language to disguise what they're doing. They don't
Yeah,
call it, they don't call it a concentration camp. They call it a, whatever ICE calls it, like a detention center or whatever.
well,
Um,
yeah, and I
they
mean, like, I guess now
they
they got more
use that.
sophisticated
They're
to where they don't gas
exactly. They're
populations; they
skilled.
go and
They're
sterilize
highly
whole groups of
skilled at it,
women.
and just put them. They use economic warfare. They just keep them
Hmm.
subjugated. They just keep them under their heel, basically, enslaved, right? Like through various ways of like, not even that the fact that they're doing labor, it's that they're allowing them to make money off of them. So like that's what the camps are for, in my opinion, right? Is like the prison industrial complex, all those chains along the way are making money off those people being held, right? They
Right.
don't have like previously they just let them go and they sent him, back over the border or whatever, or
Yeah.
didn't let him in the first place, right? Now they're keeping him locked up in these camps because they get contracts for it. There's taxpayers are paying for that, so some rich guy is getting a check every time another migrant gets put in one of those camps, right? Like it's a money-making thing for them. So while it's not technically slavery, it is kind of slavery because you're just being bargained. You're a chip, a poker chip, that's like being pushed around the table, being pushed around the economy, creating profits for somebody. So,
Well, we do
I don't know
got
where you want them to say.
CNN instant poll. I just put this up here of who won the debate. Do you want to take a guess on this one?
Trump.
60-28
Where is it?
Biden.
60-28 said Biden won?
The CNN instant poll.
I mean, but that's what we just saw in that report last week. Like 85% of the people who watch CNN are registered Democrats. Like they're,
Right.
you know, that's that's who's responding to those polls, right? Of course,
Yeah.
we know what they're going to say. We saw it the whole primary. They're going to say that Biden was perfect. Everything he did was awesome. Everything Trump did was fucking unhinged, fascism, right? That's what they're going to say, and they're going to pass those talking points out to their, their crowd,
Well,
uh,
CNN had done a
and
pretty
that's what we're going
decent
to hear
job
from
with the
the left.
polls in the primary. That's the only reason I thought it was any kind of legitimate. I mean,
Well, I think a snap poll like that, like people who are on this, who are on CNN's Twitter feed, like immediately after the debate, I think that's who's going to be. I don't know. Maybe it. I mean, I can't see. I think it was probably 68% of the people who responded were Biden supporters, and they said Biden won. Right? Like, what are you going to say? Because you're not going to admit you lost, right? Like, it's not as simple as winning or losing. Like,
mm-hmm.
yeah, like if this was high school debate club, Biden would have won, right? Like he probably scored more points or
Hey, I
whatever.
was in high school
But like,
debate, sir. What are you trying to say about high school debate?
okay,
All right, Jack.
I'm just saying that like if you're
Here,
playing
look,
by the
here's the deal.
rules of like if you're playing by the rules of like
Right.
parry and thrust, point counterpoint, then Biden probably won, right? Like
Yeah, like
fine,
what?
technically, I guess,
Right. I mean,
but he got his ass kicked in
uh,
every metric that matters.
yeah. I mean, it's what I think you're saying there is like he was much more structured. Like he's polished as to when his time is whenever. But Trump was just talking whenever he wanted to talk. It's not like there was any structure. He's a he's a dog off the leash.
Like you win a debate by like, but that's the thing though is like you win a debate by juking that, like working that to your advantage, right? Like hogging the spotlight when you can get away with it, and taking as much time as you can. The moderator and more Biden though. Like I said, you can blame Wallace all you want, but like it's Biden's fault for not having anything to talk about, for not having like Biden didn't want to talk. Trump wanted to talk. He
Well,
talked
yeah. I
when he
mean, that's
wanted to. Biden
not
talked
really
as
all
much
that
as he
much of a
had
super.
to.
Well, look, beforehand, I had looked at the Paul Ryan and Joe Biden debates. Just because if you look at those just objectively, Joe Biden's really sharp. He knows how to come back on his points. He knows how to make different assertions policy wise. He's there, and I figured they were gonna go and give him something enough to be able to do that with Trump, and he fell flat in a lot of ways. And when he had to keep coming back and getting his positioning and remembering where he was when Trump would interrupt him, he just looked lost. Like he had to, like, it was exactly what I was thinking going in, where there was a lot of moments where Biden would be just like, I just need a minute, like, and then you would be like, the Dems would just sit there, like everybody in the field would just kind of like, all right, yeah, you're right. It's fine, Joe. You'll get it. And then I knew Trump was just gonna jump all over him. I think that's part of why Trump jumped in so many times, because he knows Joe's just gonna slow down.
Exactly, because he didn't want to talk. Like he wanted to win the debate. Like he wanted to, score the points or whatever. But physically, he didn't want to open his mouth and say other things. He just spoke because he had to. I think that was the difference. I mean, that's why you're not gonna like people who respond to that. Like those voters are not leaving Trump, right? They want that about him. It's like a passion. It's like the only people who are going to not vote for Trump are just people who understand that he's a fascist, right? Like if you don't understand that, I think a neutral observer, if you didn't know anything about the situation and you watch the two up there, that Trump fucking owns. You definitely vote for Trump watching that, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is probably the first time I've seen a presidential debate and I don't have a dog in the fight, right? Like really don't have a dog in the fight. I really don't care one way or another. And I mean, I came down looking at it and thinking about it the exact same way you did. And I mean, to me, it just wasn't unexpected. This is what Trump needs to go ahead and do in order to have a chance to win still. And with this whole thing about the tax returns just coming out, it's I mean, I do think that does hurt him in a little bit of ways you you can make that point that's so relatable. He paid $750 in taxes before that. He spent 10 years not paying taxes. And it's difficult for people to kind of understand that, I think, but it's one of those things that you gotta, that when you go and you're getting your check every week, you see that money coming out, and I don't know, for me it's just a relatable thing at the end of the day. I mean, I thought
Yeah,
of
I
that.
guess I guess that's a point. Yeah, I guess. I mean, if you focus on that, right, that's good. But like, if you focus on, like he's a fake billionaire, or he was lying or whatever, that's not going to land with people. But if you focus on the unfairness of it, that would land with people. But I don't think they're going to, though. Like, they don't want to talk about anything material. They don't want to talk about anything. They don't want to say, like, he was barely saying it tonight. Like, Bernie would have gone up there and explained how Trump is a symptom, right? Like, Trump not
Well,
paying anything on his
that.
taxes is because their tax code is fucked up.
Well, I mean, that's.
Biden basically said, like,
Mm-hmm.
you're a con man. He didn't say, like,
Mm-hmm.
You're making all this money because our laws are crazy, because that was an Obama era law, the one that helped him.
Right, right. It
You
was,
can
and
use
Trump even brought that
Biden
up,
as a
which I thought that was a
process.
brilliant move too.
Exactly. That's what I mean. But he should have said, this is what you're doing wrong. Like, this is what's wrong with our country. This is the loophole you're taking advantage of, and made that the issue, because that'll land
Man,
with people. It's not fair that billionaires don't pay tax. Like Bernie always says, like, Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the country and the richest man in the world, didn't pay any taxes last year. Like,
right,
that's the kind of thing
I
that
got
people respond to.
another tweet I want to go to. Here we go. This is snap poll, I guess, that was following tonight's debate. At Political Polls, tonight's debate made you think better or worse of each of the candidates. That's Biden. 38% thought better of Biden. 32% thought worse of him. Trump, 24% thought better of him. And 42% thought worse of him after the debate.
What?
Yeah, man, I'm starting to look around at this shit. And
Say that
me.
again. I'm sorry.
All right, so what it came down to was oh, hold up, I think I pulled this thing up. There you
Trying
go.
to do that tweet.
Yeah, let's see. Nick had pulled this thing up. So yeah, so it was a better or worse poll. So after the debate, you felt better or felt worse about the candidate, right? So what it came off looking like is a lot of people thought Biden just came off better a little bit, but by and large, a lot of people thought Trump came off much worse.
Good.
Yeah, so that seems to be the takeaway from the voters. I mean, about this thing, but I mean, I guess we're in the minority when it came to who won this thing.
Hey man, I thought you said that Biden came off better.
But at the end of this, wait,
Right?
whoa,
Hey, saying,
you see, look, this is why we need a Jamie. I'm pretty sure you and I were just talking about Trump looking better after this.
I mean, yeah, no, I think he won the debate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it all depends on how this shit is worded. I don't know. I got to see it. I got to see the specifics. I can't. You explaining it to me is not working.
Yeah, you see, this is the trouble with the first live stream. We got to figure out some of these logistical issues because I'm just over here reading tweets.
I was just trying to tweet something. I wasn't paying attention.
All right.
Did you tweet it?
No, the thing went ahead and updated. It's on Nick's page. I just go ahead and look at it. Let's see.
Is anybody watching still?
Yeah, we still got people. Yeah, we got 3 people hanging with us. We appreciate y'all tuning into our first live
Yeah,
stream.
yo,
We are gonna go ahead and keep
yeah,
doing this because I did not work my ass off to get this stuff working just to do it once.
fuck yeah. We should probably wrap it up though in a minute because I gotta pee. And
All
what
right.
else? I need to go look around. I need to go look around and get some more takes off people on Twitter, and then we can come back and make fun of them.
All right. Yeah, you want to go ahead because I think I got this thing pretty down pat. But do you want to go ahead and wrap it up then?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see.
Did you see Kyle's poll? Who won Kyle's poll?
Oh yeah. Let me pull that up really fast first before we go ahead and wrap up the stream.
65.8 for. It's the same as the CNN poll.
For really on like the one that he just ran.
65.8% say Biden won. 34.2% say Trump won.
That's really interesting. And you know he does
I
get
mean,
like he gets a mix of
I think he
people.
won. I think that's fucked though, because I think Trump undoubtedly won the debate. I think Biden came off as like a nicer person, but as far as
Okay.
like accomplishing their goals, I think Trump accomplished more goals with tonight's debate. Like I think his job, what he did was he got Biden to commit to unpopular things that annoy the base, right? He got Biden to basically, you know, go. Biden wouldn't say law and order. I don't know if that was like
Yeah, here
a
we
thing he
go.
was trying to avoid. He did call him out on the dog whistles too. That was something
Yeah, I mean
that people
I
don't
thought that
do
was pretty
often.
decent too.
That was pretty good.
All right,
Yeah.
let me see.
Um,
Um, all
but like
right,
what
hold
Trump was
on.
trying to do was get like suppress Democrat voters and
All right, so
keep
like
his base
right
happy.
here,
Right? That's what he did.
um, yeah. So who won the first presidential debate according to Kyle's poll here? 65-34 in favor of Biden. Damn.
Yeah.
That's
I think
interesting
that's
though.
wrong. Like I said,
That's interesting. I mean,
I mean,
I don't know if you and I just been hanging around so much that we end up seeing the stuff the same way. But I don't know how you can come off looking at that and saying Biden clearly won on anything
no. Yeah.
other than
I don't.
looking like more of a gentleman, I guess. Good.
Yeah. Like what Biden did was he didn't have any like extinction level gaffes, right?
Right.
Like just like in the primaries, right? Like Biden would say dumb shit, but he wouldn't say anything like, he didn't like tell people to like rape their mother or whatever. Like he didn't say anything that was just like beyond the pale,
What
right?
the fuck?
Like he would say dumb shit, but like he didn't say anything like he didn't like Trump was trying to like goad him into saying the N word and stuff too.
You you think
Like
so?
he was trying to. I think at one point he was trying to like, and he was like, "What? What do you want me to call him? Like, what should I call him?"
That
Like
was
they
when he
were
was
both
talking about
trying to
like the
like.
white supremacists.
I know they were like. I feel like they were both goading each
Yeah. Are
other
you
into
gonna
saying
call
racist
like you
shit.
guys were there saying are you gonna call out white
Like
supremacist
they were like
terrorists?
saying,
And then
or like
that's when he came back with the
deplorables or
stand
whatever.
by,
Like he was
folks.
trying to.
Proud boys, I need you to
Well, like
stand
he was
by
trying
and
to
stand.
goad him into saying something like Hillary, like
Right,
a deplorables type moment,
right, yeah.
right? And he couldn't get him to do anything.
Hmm.
Um, and I think like I said, he maintained like he's not going to lose any of the 52% of the country or whatever is on his side now.
No,
But I think Trump definitely, if anybody's adding to their voter tally in key swing state polling districts, it's Trump, right?
okay.
Like the undecided voters who are in Allegheny County and Sandusky, Ohio, or Dearborn and
Pensacola,
Orlando.
Florida, out in the
Exactly.
Panhandle.
That's the people. Yeah, Biden didn't do anything to appeal to those people,
No,
right? Like
no, I don't think he's
he didn't
trying
do
to. I
anything to
think
win
there.
them
I mean, like,
over.
I think there
If
are.
anybody's winning people over,
No,
if anybody's winning over white, non-college educated, middle-aged voters,
right.
which is who they're all playing for, that's like the demographic that everybody makes every single fucking election about.
Uh huh.
If anybody's winning them over, it was Trump, right? Like, I don't think Biden said anything. Like I said, all he had to
I
do
don't
was
know.
have
Like,
ideas. Like say,
mhm.
hey, I don't want to build any more coal plants because I want to build this kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
I don't want to. I, I don't want to do, you know, um, but whatever. I don't even know. Like, something he could have said?
Mm.
Like, he didn't say the healthcare thing, right? Like, and he didn't explain the public option at all. Just made it sound like Medicare, right, or Medicaid, right? Like, basically, what he implied was that it's for poor people.
Yeah, it's gonna
He
be
didn't
like a
say,
Medicaid thing. It's not gonna be for anybody that just wants to go on to. You have to qualify for it, apparently.
yeah, exactly. He didn't do a good job selling that. That's for sure. So,
And he bent over
I don't,
backwards
like
to
I
say he's
said, I
not
don't
for the
think.
Green New Deal.
So I'm saying, but didn't say anything in place of it. That's the issue. Is
No, I mean
it's
he's
That's what Trump's
that
doing.
was the
He's forcing him to
problem.
play on
Like,
Trump's terms too.
but no, but that
It's
was the
just saying,
problem though. You see,
I'm
look at
not for the Green New Deal.
when
Just say what you want to do
well,
instead. Is
no,
my problem. It's
see,
like
this is
just say
what
something.
no, but this is what happened. So he would bring up the Green New Deal, and then Biden would be like, "No, no, see, I'm not the Green New," and then he gets stumbled on it, and then he'd be like, "My climate change plan," and then Trump would just jump in on him because he can't talk right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And another reason why Biden should run on ideas, right? Like, if he's just running on vagueness, he's going to be vague and get steamrolled. If he's running on,
That's what
50,000
it.
solar panels
See,
or 50,000 windmills or whatever it is, fucking say that and make that your talking point. Say, I'm going to hire this many teachers. I'm going to hire this many doctors. I'm going to open this many rural healthcare clinics. I'm going to do this many solar fields. Just say what it is, right? I'm going to make this
mm-hmm.
many electric cars. Just fucking say something, right? Like, have a goal and talk about it.
Yeah,
Like, he had nothing that he wanted. There was nothing like in his heart that he like was trying to express to the American people. There was no passion. There was nothing like, okay, this is my vision for the country. He just is basically running as not Trump, like default. Like, I'm not him. We're just going to do the same country we're doing now, but without him in charge of it. It's not an inspiring strategy, especially in the fucking recession. All these people are unemployed. What are you going to do about all those unemployed people? What are you going to do about the housing crisis, the debt, the student loans, of course, the healthcare, the military, any of that shit? Just say what you're going to do, man.
well,
Just fucking say something.
that's what I'm trying to tell you. I think he was trying to go and say some vagueness about all of those things, but when he started to, he couldn't articulate it fast enough, and Trump would just jump in on him every time.
Exactly why he needs to have something. There has to be some meat on the bones. So, A, you can appeal to voters, but B, to make it easier to have to talk to people,
Mm-hmm.
like make it easier for him to share, like, on his stump speech, in his debates with Trump, in his
Right.
ads. Fucking pick a handful of things that you want to do and make that part of your campaign. That's usually what presidential candidates do. They run on ideas. They run on their vision for the
All
country,
right.
what they want to change, what they want to see happen. That's how you win elections, and it's fucking ridiculous that they think that they can just run on vagueness. It's like Obama had a lot of vagueness, but he also had a few substantive things, or at least like agendas, and that's not what we're getting from Biden, and it's really alarming. Like, I don't, not that I'm saying
This whole thing
about
is
like just
alarming. I mean, look,
talking about in terms of winning the election.
yeah,
I'm talking about how is he going to win the election. This is a bad way to win the election. A good way to win the election is to have a couple ideas you want to implement and run on those.
right.
I think. I don't
No,
know.
no.
What
I
the fuck do I
look. I
know?
agree about that though, but I mean, like it's just a weakness with Biden versus Trump. You have Trump that is just out there. All he doesn't shut his mouth, and when you have Biden that is very slow and he can't get his points out, Trump's just gonna be jumping in all over him. That's why there. I mean, I think that's why there were so many interruptions, even more than when Trump was debating
Because like I said
against
too, it's the
Hillary.
same thing too. Because I mean, it's the same thing though. Is Biden doesn't want to be talking. He doesn't. He only wants to talk because he has to. He doesn't like Trump can steamroll him because he's not like he's like holding the microphone like this,
Mm-hmm.
like he's not holding it like this, like, he's got to hold the microphone like that and fucking talk, like get up in there, just about anything,
Right.
like It could even be about like how tough he wants to be on crime or like how tough he wants to be on the border.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, just fucking say something and be passionate about it because people respond to that.
Yeah. Well,
Like
okay. So I guess the last thing I really wanted to go in about was, I mean, the thought on my mind was, how do you think, after seeing how Trump came out, how do you think Bernie would have came out against him?
fucking owned him, just night and fucking just rampaged of just, "Wow, Mr. Trump, you're a fucking scumbag. You've never paid your workers anything, Mr. Trump. Like you fucked the country up. You did this wrong. Fucking war." Any issue, he would have just owned him, and he would have defended his ideas. He would have
Yeah.
had his ideas that he wanted to put forward, and he's passionate about it. They would have had to moderate, would have had to cut him off. He
Yeah.
would have gotten a fight with Wallace. He would have pushed back on Wallace's talking points.
Mm-hmm.
He would have fucking owned it, just dominated it.
Yeah.
And that was the whole thing I kept thinking the whole time watching it.
Yeah,
Was
I mean,
just
okay,
how
so the
disappointing
point that
it
you brought
was.
up about the stock market, for instance, I mean, the stock market, I mean, the whole point was bullshit. If that was Bernie up there, he would have said that. He would say this. He
Exactly.
would have
That's what
gone
I'm
in
saying.
about the stock
Biden has
market's not a
no
good
vision
indicator
of
for
the
the
future.
economy. We have a 1 million more people that have filed for unemployment. We have so many more millions of people that have lost their health care. He wants to come up here and talk about, man, like, it's so easy to picture because he's so policy oriented and he's so good at
Yeah.
sticking to what he runs on. And the stuff that the
That's
stuff that Trump came in, it was like he was running against a cookie cutter Democrat. So I don't think he would have changed his strategy at all going against Bernie. He
no.
would have
Trump
gone
wasn't
in
running against cookie cutter Trump. Trump was running against a left winger,
mm-hmm.
right? That's what he kept trying to do
trying to turn Biden
because
into that
he
left
thought
winger.
Bernie was going to win.
Right. And I
And
think Bernie would have just owned that.
yeah, like I said, that's what I've said all along. He wouldn't, like when Trump accused him of being for socialist healthcare, he would have explained why it's better to have more government involvement in the healthcare sector. He would have explained that why it was the good idea, and not like defending that he wants to do it. He would have explained why it's better. Like, so Biden was just trying to say like, oh no, you're wrong about that, but he didn't offer the correct interpretation. It's
Mm-hmm.
usually if somebody says your favorite color is blue, you don't say, no, it's not. Like, I don't like blue. I've never liked blue. Like blues for like, blues for losers. They say, no, my favorite color is red. Like,
That's
you know
one
what
of
I'm
your.
saying?
I
Like,
gotta say, that's one of your better analogies.
good. Let me tweet it. All right, let's go. I have to pee.
All right, bro. Let's go ahead and sign off. We'll see if we could go make this live stream thing a regular thing. But other than that, yeah, we're out of here. Then go ahead and follow us. I put the link in the chat for you guys. That's our main Twitter page. If you're not following us there already, so go ahead and check us out. And yeah, we'll be back on again soon.
Later.